Hello guys, Antoine here for Simarchitecture and welcome back to a new video. Today we're taking off to Japan. As you've already seen in this thumbnail, we're building a traditional Japanese house, which was possible thanks to Alexander's new content, which is inspired by Japanese architecture. So I'm very happy to build this house because it's been a very long time since I wanted to build something Japanese. If you remember, I've done a few Asian inspired builds on my channel, including this tea house, which is probably my favorite. But yeah, I wanted to build something typically Japanese, or at least Japanese in the way my European mind would imagine it, because I've never been to Japan myself. I've seen a lot of documentaries, pictures, articles or books about Japan, but I've never been there myself, and I wish one day I will, because this is truly an incredible country. So yes, don't blame me if the build is not 100% accurate. This is my vision of Japan and Japanese architecture. This is probably not perfect, I know, but yes, this is it. So this house is actually pretty small. It is built in Newcrest because I wanted to start something from scratch. I didn't want to get influenced by other architecture we have in the game and that we cannot change. So I started here in Newcrest. It looks a little bit empty for now, but I have a plan to do the whole street with Japanese houses, just to make it look like a real Japanese city or neighborhood. And I think it will be much better once we have all these other houses, because the house right now looks a little bit alone here in Newcrest. So yes, as you can see, the house is enclosed by a big wall, which I think is something quite common in the traditional Japanese houses or even Japanese castles. And we have a bigger garden on the front side, which actually consists of a pond, trees, bamboos, rocks, something very mineral, I think, which once again is not meant to be 100% accurate, because the Japanese art of doing a garden is something extremely complex. I mean, a whole life would probably not be enough to learn how to do a proper Japanese garden. So yes, this is just my vision of it. It's not meant to be something accurate 100% once more. And the backyard is actually just a big pond, because we have a terrace and the space was pretty small, and I was thinking that this terrace could be dedicated to having a tea, to meditate, to just rest, and I thought that water would be just nice for having tea and just, you know, enjoying the peace of the house. For the interior, I went for a very kind of, yeah, minimalistic style, because I wanted this house to be very zen, very clean, because, you know, when a house is full of clutter, full of furniture, it's hard to focus. And for this house, I wanted it to be very, yeah, almost empty, I would say. So you will see that the house is a mix of traditional architecture, of course, and it also has all the modern facilities, because we're in 2020 and we need some modern facilities. So you enter the house in a sitting area dedicated to your guests. You can have a tea and just talk to your guests here. It's very simple. They're just tatamis, a big kimono on the wall, which is, I think, something extremely precious in Japan. I think I've read something about kimonos. I mean, the old kimonos are very, very expensive. They're a real piece of art. So yes, this is something very special and very luxurious. So there's this kimono. We have a Ming vase, or just, well, Ming is Chinese, of course, but the equivalent of a Ming vase, but in the Japan version. I don't know how you can call this. Probably, I'm not sure. There's an era in Japan which was called the Meiji era, And I think there are a lot of vases coming from this era, but I'm not sure, so please check it out on the internet if you're interested. Yes, then you entered sort of dining room / living room, because there's a big sofa and a TV, and also a table with this kind of, not armchair, but lounges, because actually, you know, in the traditional culture, people don't eat at table like us. It's more like a coffee table. And then there is a kitchen, which is very classic and simple. And the last room of the first floor is a room dedicated to an object, which I forgot the name. This is something traditional. It's a sort of fireplace with a teapot hanging from the ceiling. It's a very beautiful thing, and I wanted to implement it in this house. It's also, I think, a very nice room to welcome your guests and to have some nice time with them. And that's it for the first floor. And if you go up, there's a large bedroom and a bathroom, and that's it. And you will see that there's something I like. The door leading to the bathroom is actually translucent, because, you know, these are those traditional Japanese panels made of rice paper, so they're very thin. And yeah, and Felix did it in his custom content. You have this feeling of the door being translucent, and it's really, really great. So yeah, I love this new content. It's just an amazing pack, probably the best custom content you can find inspired by Japan. So yeah, if you're hesitating, then stop hesitating, just go for it. This custom content is incredibly good, incredibly realistic, and just so nice to play with. I think I've told you pretty much everything about the house, and now I would like to tell you more about Japanese culture in France, because as I told you, I only have the vision of Japan we have in France. You have to know that Japan is very popular in France, probably the most popular Asian country. We have a lot of influences from Japan in the movies, animation movies, food, books. Well, I would say that the French people is very interested in Japan, and for a lot of people, including me, this is a real dream to go to Japan. For us, it's very far away, it's very expensive, but really, this is something you have to do in your life, I think, because the culture is so rich. There are so many traditions. It's a very complex country, and there's always something to learn about it, and that's very exciting. Just before recording this voiceover, I was actually watching a documentary called Japan from the Sky, and I was just like, wow, this country is absolutely crazy. There's so much to see, and I think a whole life wouldn't be enough to learn everything about Japan, and that's so frustrating. Anyway, this is also a disclaimer I wanted to do. As I told you, this is my vision as a French of Japan, Japanese culture, Japanese architecture, and of course, I'm aware of it. I think we have a vision of Japan which was made so us European would like it. We probably don't know even 1% of Japan and the culture. So yes, this is my European vision of it, and I'm just aware that it's not probably perfect, and there are probably a lot of things that I'm missing, but I really try to do my best. This is my own tribute to Japan and to Japan architecture and culture. So yeah, there are probably a lot of mistakes, but really, I made them with my heart, really. I think my first experience with Japan, which was when I was a child, I went to the movie theater with my classroom. With my class? Yeah, just my class, not the classroom. The classroom stay at school. With my class, we went there to watch, Spirited Away. Yes, I was looking for the title in English. Spirited Away, which is my favorite movie of Hayao Miyazaki, and it was a real revelation. And then I watched all the movies of Miyazaki, and from there I started getting interested in Japanese culture. And yeah, I mean, just like many other French or European, I think, these movies were just the entrance to a larger discovery of this culture, and I will be forever thankful for these movies, because they're just magical. And yeah, that's it. I'm just so emotional when I think about these movies. I just love them so much. Everything, the storyline, the aesthetic, the poetry kind of you have in these movies is just incredible, and this is probably one of the best part of Japan we can feel in these movies, and that's amazing. Yes. I would be curious to know what you feel about Japan, how you experience it, because I think depending the part of the world you're living in, it must be quite different. I think an American doesn't have the same point of view because of the past that exists between Japan and America. A Chinese person has probably a different point of view about Japan. A Japanese person probably has also a different point of view about Japan. So yes, I would be curious to know what you feel like about this country. Yes, just tell me. And before I'm leaving you, if you're into Japanese architecture, you should definitely follow my friend, if it's not done already, Freezer Bunny, who is just the master of Japanese architecture, is Asian himself. It comes from Filipino, which is not that far away from Japan, and I think it's easier for him to feel the culture and the vibe because it's culturally closer to Japan than the French culture. Anyway, he's done a lot of Japanese inspired builds that are just wonderful, so if you're into it, just check out his channel, which is just a gem. Now it's time for me to leave you. I really hope you enjoyed this build. It was something very cool to build, and really relaxing also. So yes, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.